Hello everyone, my name is David. Thank you for coming to visit YourJunkBiz.com. If you've been to our website, YourJunkBiz.com, and read the contents here, you'll know that we're selling a business startup kit. Basically, it's all of the systems and intellectual property that we developed when we had to start our own junk removal business. And as you scroll down the page here, for example, here are reasons why a junk removal business is a good business to get into. There's a couple of different photos of some of our advertising and marketing material. This green column in the middle here contains a complete listing of everything that's included in the business kit when you download it from us. And right here is how you order. You click right here and you can get a digital download, so you save on shipping and you get the material right away. If you want to, you can order a CD in the mail. We will ship it out, but there is a small extra charge for shipping and handling. Why don't we take a look at the actual package? Because first of all, that's me, Dave, and here's my phone number right there, so you can give me a call if you have other questions. One of the things that happens all the time is people call me up and they always ask the same questions. So what I'm going to do is try to answer some of those questions in this video to give you a little bit more information. And when you click this digital download and pay the fee to get the kit, what you're downloading is a zip file that includes all of these things. It's a folder that opens up. And we can take a look at each one of these sections and see what's in here. So the very first thing we're going to take a look at is the actual operations manual. So this is, first of all, Junk Heroes. I misspelled this on purpose. There's an E missing. And the reason why I did that is I didn't want 100 different companies across North America try to start up under the name Junk Heroes. But I wanted a sample logo to be used in all of this material, so I created this Junk Heroes, which is misspelled. Okay? So you have to come up with your own name. Strongly suggest you come up with a business name that includes the word junk. Let me shrink this a little bit. Okay? So as we move through the kit, we've got a couple of notes here about this business guide, and then some information here on the vision that we had in starting this business. And here's the vision: to offer junk removal services to homeowners and contractors using professional-looking employees who behave in a professional manner. Respect the client's time and earn their trust by providing the same excellent service again and again. So that was our challenge. And the way that we were able to get this business up and running properly and make sure that our service was good each and every time was by developing systems to make sure that our employees, and in the beginning us, me and my partner, did everything the same way over and over each time. So we took a page out of the book of large companies, based heavily on the writings of Michael Gerber and his book, The E-Myth. So scrolling down here, missed a page. We talk about the truck, what kind of equipment that you want to operate. We then have a startup checklist. So what do you need to get done as far as the office, the government, and accounting? What do you need to do as far as sales and marketing to get started? What do you need to have put together as far as operations and the truck in order to get started? Then we have our organizational chart. So these are all of the different roles in the business, the groups of responsibility. As your business starts off, you will likely have your name in almost every box. As your business grows, you're going to be adding other people's names into these boxes. But taking the steps to organize yourself in this way is one of the things that small business owners usually do not do, and they just leave everything in their head. And that's what leads to poor customer service as you start to grow. Because as you start to increase the number of employees, they don't do things the way you would do them, and they don't have the proper instruction in order to understand exactly how their job is supposed to be done and what tasks they are specifically responsible for. So that's what we solve through this system. There's an explanation here that talks about how this organizational chart grows over time and how it increases as you add more trucks, etc., and how you start to input other people's names into it. But then we're able to actually put job descriptions. So here's the job description for the driver's helper, listing out everything that that person is responsible for. Here's the job description for the driver, the operations manager, the accounting officer, the telephone or inbound sales agent, the salesperson, the sales and marketing and office manager, and the chief operating officer. Every role, every job that needs to get done in this business is listed out in one of these positions. So as you grow the business, let's say Joe comes on board and joins you, you can say, Joe, you are now filling these roles, and you can give him an exact description of what he's supposed to do. We're going to look at this in a moment when we open up the training packages that are also included in this kit. We then get into work processes. How do we do this job? How do we provide great service to our clients each and every time? And these are illustrated through flowcharts. So the flowcharts move across time from the beginning at the top to the end of the job down at the bottom. And we see here on the left-hand side all the different steps that the driver is doing. And directly across from what the driver is doing, we have the driver's helper. So this is the demolition or room stripping workflow. This is the junk pickup workflow. So for example, when the driver is estimating the size of the load for the quotation and getting the customer approval and noting the start time, the driver's helper is opening the truck gates, inspecting the junk for hazardous materials, and if he sees any, he informs the driver. He then retrieves any tools required for the job. So each person knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing at any point in time. Nobody's standing around waiting to be told what to do. We then have a driver after job process. We also have the landfill process over here on the right. This is the workflow process for the person answering the phone for the business. The customer calls in. Does he want service? Section B, yes or no. You follow these through the workflow, and all of these different scenarios and spots that have letters on them have sample scripts that are included. This helps you learn, number one, how to answer the phone for yourself when you're first getting going, but number two, when you hire someone who's going to be answering the phone for you, this shortens the learning curve. The whole purpose of putting this kit together is to get you up and running faster in this business than you would ever be able to if you were starting from scratch and had to figure all this stuff out on your own. It took us, a year and a half to get all of these bugs sorted out to figure out exactly what we were doing, and you get to start on day one with all of this knowledge. So here's all the scripts going down, down, down. Hiring and training new employees. This is a process for you to hire and train someone based on what we learned, having done it many times. Sales and promotion plan. The competitive advantage. We talk about different primary forms of advertising. Sales channels. We discuss the residential and the contractor channel. We rediscuss the marketing checklist down here. And we talk about creating a flight schedule. Pricing models and strategy. This is going to vary by your market. We talk about the process and how we look at the way labor is factored into this and how the quote workup table is used in the job sheet, which we're going to look at in more detail in a moment. We then have a section on how to compete against 1-800 you know who. This applies equally to any of the other large brand names, and we give you a way to differentiate yourself from these other large companies. Putting it all together at the very end here is an actual step-by-step snapshot of what my day was like on average when I was running and managing this business. So that's the operations manual. Let's take a look at some of the other things that are included in here. So we've got a section here with the training packs and charts. So the organizational charts are included. as well as training packs for the driver and the driver's helper. I've already got this open here. So here's the driver's helper training pack. What this allows you to do is that when you hire someone, you've got all the materials you need to get them going on the right foot. So it talks about the vision of the company. It talks about employer expectations, what we expect from the driver's helper. It talks about employee expectations, what the employee is going to be able to expect from you. We talk about the job description. All that stuff that was in the operations manual is in here. So the person you hire to do this job is going to know exactly what is expected of them and what their job is. They then have all the workflows. So you can hire someone, give them this package, and they'll be able to go home, look at it, study it, and when they show up for work on the first day, they're not starting from zero. They have an idea already of what they're expected to do and how this job gets done. So this is put together for the driver and the driver's helper, the two roles that you will likely end up hiring the most often. Sales visuals are a couple of different presentation setups designed to talk to contractors, do-it-yourselfers, etc., so that when a salesperson goes out and talks to people in the public, he's got something like a leave behind that he can work with. The logos include the credit card logos and things like that. Forms and spreadsheet data. There's printable forms that we have in here, and you'll see that everything is in both PDF and .pub format. So PDF allows you to take a look at it even if you don't have Microsoft Publisher. The .pub files are ones that you can send to your local print shop to have these materials printed up for you. And the local print shop would be able to swap out the logo, for example. So let's take a look at some of these forms. This is the daily call log. So every time someone calls in to the company, they get asked two important questions. Where did you hear about us? How did you get our phone number? Okay, so someone could have told them about you, word of mouth, but they may have looked in the phone book to get your phone number. Yellow pages. Okay, so you're probably going to want to change this, put in your Google ads or your website, etc. We ran this business back at a time when Yellow Pages was the most important form of advertising. Today, internet, Google, websites, etc. are going to be more important. But you want to log every single call that comes into your business. You're probably also going to want to log every email that comes into your business or text message, depending on how people are choosing to communicate with you. Because you need to know how are people hearing about you and where are they getting the numbers so that you can have an informed decision as to what advertising you choose to do or not do. And then, of course, you check off, did we get work from this call, yes or no? All of this information gets put into an electronic version of this format, so you can create graphs that will allow you to track over time where the calls are coming from and what's the most effective means of advertising. The next one we're going to look at here is the job metrics sheet. So this is something that gets carried with the driver as he drives around during the day. He puts in the address, the date, how many minutes it took them to do the job, how many minutes of driving to and from the job, how much revenue came from the job, how much recycling revenue from scrapyard, etc. came from the job, what the tippage cost and the gas cost was. This is filled out throughout the day for each job. This data is important in teaching the driver. So he fills in this information, and then at the end of the day, you go in and you input it into this Excel spreadsheet. And what it immediately shows us, so here's the drive time, or the loading time, how long they worked on the job, the driving time, the revenue, if there was recycling revenue, the tippage cost, estimate of what the gas was, and the profit. We looked at two different metrics. We looked at the revenue divided by tippage. So for every $1 in tippage fee, how much did we charge for revenue? This is sort of a gross margin calculation. We also looked at the profit on the job per minute of job time. So in this case, we earned $1.47 in each of those 60 minutes that the guys were on site. When the driver fills this in, it's very easy to recognize when we have a problem. So this job only generated 37 cents of revenue for every minute that the guys were on site. So in this case, this is an example of the driver underestimating the amount of labor that went into this job. What we found is that a new driver would consistently underestimate time and volume of material, and it was taking them up to 10, 12 weeks to learn how to properly estimate things. And we said, we have to cut this down. We need a learning tool. That's what this is. It's a learning tool, much more so than it is a management tool. At the end of a day, when the driver's memory is still fresh from what he did that day, he can see in his own eyes what the profitability of each job was. And what we found is that the learning curve went from 10 weeks to 10 days. People were able to much more readily learn how to estimate volumes and the time it would take to do things when they had daily feedback and they could actually see the results of the jobs that they quoted. And then down here, of course, you can graph this to see it visually. So here we had a 74% profit. There's the tippage and the gas estimate, etc. So that's the job metrics. Let's take a look at, so that was the sample job metrics sheet that I just showed you. There's also a 1-year cash flow sheet in here. There's a sample of the daily call log. There's the marketing and flight schedule, the blank job metric, deposit blank. There's a cash control form, which is kind of like a till balancing tool for the driver for managing cash. Electronic daily call log, etc. The next thing we're going to look at is some of the other printable sheets. So this is the job sheet, and this is sort of the central nervous system of this business. When people would call in, the person who answered the phone would fill in this part of the form up top with the basic information about the client. If it was a junk removal job, you'll see the very first thing on this list is pickup time confirmed. So one of the responsibilities of the driver is to call ahead and talk to the customer and say and confirm the time. We're going to be there at 10 a.m. They then actually write in the time when they do arrive, okay, and check here if the customer is on site. Sometimes the customers weren't on site. Sometimes there'd be a pile of stuff sitting outside beside a garage, and we would call the customer at work and say, here's the charge. Would you like us to go ahead and do it? And then people would say yes, and then pay over the telephone with a credit card, for example. We then do the quotation, and the quotation workup is over here. So we estimate the volume. We add on any additional travel charges, for instance. We add on extra charges for labor, for hauling or demolition, any extra charges for heavy items or single item charges. For example, people would call up and say, I just want you to pick up this stove. And we'd say, okay, stop and pick up one item. We're going to charge you $40, let's say. They then accept the quote by signing. And the next step is that the driver and his helper stretch, then they load the junk, then they sweep up or rake. If the driver checked this off and did not actually clean it up, see over here where there's a signature line for the driver? If I ever got a phone call from a customer that said, those guys left here and the place is a mess. There's litter and dust and debris all over where they picked up the junk. Then what I would do is I would go to the driver and I would say, you checked off this box. The customer said you didn't do it. And that driver would go back and do that cleanup on his own time. And that is how you create responsibility in your employees, by making them accountable for the things they said they did. The customer would then sign off again down here, saying that all work contracted has been completed to my satisfaction. You collect the payment. The payment details are recorded over here, credit card, cash, etc. And you note the time that the job is finished. We had these job sheets printed up in 2 parts, and one of those no carbon required 2-part forms, and we had them numbered down here in the bottom corner, numbered sequentially, so that we could keep track of them and make sure that one didn't go missing, for example. As a control so that your employees don't have the opportunity to do cash jobs on the side. And a funny thing started to happen. We would leave the customer with their copy, and then a week or two later, we would get a call from one of their neighbors or one of their friends. And people would say to us, my friend showed me the receipt from when you came to pick up junk at his house, and I was so impressed with the way that you are organized and how you manage yourselves that I knew that when I needed to hire someone to remove stuff, it was going to be you guys. So that was a big surprise. This form, central nervous system of the whole operation, I'm not afraid to show it to you on this YouTube video because to recreate everything that I've shown you today would take more time and effort than the cost of downloading this kit. And this is why probably no one has ever asked for a refund. There's incredible value here. What most people tell us is that they're able to get what they feel is a 6 to 9 month head start on doing this business than if they were to start from scratch by themselves. Here's another one. This is a whole page just of those quote workups. So I would sometimes go out and visit people to give them a quote, and the truck wouldn't go. The truck would be busy working, generating revenue. Someone would call me, and I would go out and visit a place or look at a site, and I would just do this little workup and give a total quote and mark in that it was valid until a certain day. So all of this stuff is put together for you. When we get into advertising, our business cards, coupons, posters, door hangers, flyers, print advertising. The door hangers, you'll see here, it says version 7. We actually went through many revisions of the door hanger to get the one that works the best. I'll open this one up here for us. And what we found, which amazed us, is that the door hanger would actually work for a period of 18 months. And here's what it looks like. So this would, if you can imagine, 3 of these would fit on one page. They would be printed up on a cardboard, usually yellow is the color we used. And then up here in this blank space would be the hole that would be cut by the printer, and a little line up top so that you could stick these onto a doorknob. And we would go through a neighborhood and put these things up on doors. And for the next year and a half, we'd get calls from that neighborhood because people would have to handle it to remove it from their doorknob. And people would look at it and go, I'm planning on cleaning out my garage. I'm planning on cleaning out that storage room in the basement or the attic, or I know I have to help clean out mom's house because she wants to move into an apartment. And they would take these and they would put them on their fridge, or they would put them into a drawer in their kitchen, and they would keep them. And it just amazed me how effective this form of advertising was. So that's also included, and again, it's in publisher format as well, so you can have this modified or changed at your local print shop. So that is a brief tour of the How to Start Your Own Junk Business kit and everything that we have included to help you get a head start in this business. Again, there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you download the kit and you don't feel that it was of good value, then just let us know and we'll give you your money back. I think out of over 200 downloads, we've only had one guy request his money back, and he was in Europe, and I don't think he quite understood what he was getting. I put on here that nobody has ever asked for their money back. No one who speaks English to my that I was able to understand very clearly has asked for their money back. So you know what's in the kit. The value is there. Go ahead and download it. And if you have further or more specific questions, feel free to give me a call. My name is Dave. My phone number is right on the website. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Thank you very much for visiting, and have a great day.